From a fighter who does acrobatics in the ring to a wrestler who has no shame, here are the funniest moments of MMA. Some fighters are real acrobats in the ring, and the Brazilian Michel Pereira is one of them. This 27-year-old mixed martial artist stands out for his original acrobatic techniques and prowess. Nicknamed the Demolador, the latter stood out in particular thanks to his numerous numbers that he performed during a match at Road FC in the South Korean capital against his opponent Kim Dae-sung. By combining aerial techniques such as moonsaults, flying kicks, and many other moves performed with brilliance, Pereira offered a great show to the public. He even finished in beauty by knocking out his opponent, thus signing his 21st victory. In MMA matches, each fighter has his own way of putting on a show in the ring. If Michel Pereira loves to perform acrobatics during matches, Michael "Venom" Page, better known as MVP, has chosen a very original method, Pokémon style. This happened in 2016 in London, during a match that pitted him against the Brazilian Cyborg. After beating the latter by knocking him out, the English fighter decided to celebrate his victory in his own way. While his opponent was on the ground, MVP went to get a cap resembling that of Ash, the Pokémon trainer, and a Pokeball that he rolled to the Latino, as if to capture him. "I caught a cyborg," exclaimed the one who was also marked by the Pokémon Go phenomenon, very fashionable at the time. You don't need to remember that to capture a Pokémon, you have to throw a Pokeball at it. So, can you imagine how humiliating it must have been for this poor cyborg? As if that wasn't enough, the Brazilian had to end his night in the hospital because of a fractured skull due to the blow he received from the MVP. However, he did show his support for his opponent via Twitter and even called on his followers to contribute to the jackpot to help his convalescent opponent. Do you like this video? Then, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all notifications and not miss anything of our next publications. Let's keep going. Two fighters knocking each other out at the same time. Do you think that can happen? Not so sure, you'll tell me, and yet it's already happened. In 2017, during a match that took place during Shamrock FC 285 in Kansas City, USA, fighters Axel Cazares and Alan Vazquez hit a beautiful right hook at the same time. They both fell to the ground, Vazquez falling immediately to the ground while Cazares slid gently against the cage. Well, that's a double knockout you don't see very often. Some fighters show great aggressiveness towards their opponents, even before entering the ring. Well, we can say that they are so ready to lead the fight and so sure that they can defeat their opponents that it gives us a taste of the match. Sometimes these altercations take place in the presence of the organizers and journalists, for example during the press conferences that precede the fight. This was the case during Road FC 53 in 2019 when South Korean Kwon Asal and French-Tunisian Mansour Barnaoui, alias Afro Samurai, clashed before the match. Mansour Barnaoui was attacked by the South Korean who provoked him by running headlong into him in the middle of a press conference, which forced the staff members present to intervene to separate the two fighters and put an end to this first colorful face-to-face. How can we qualify this gesture according to you? Is it a bit of arrogance on the part of the South Korean? Or is it an intimidating way to show his opponent which of the two will be stronger in this match that was going to be played for $1 million? But Kwon Asal may have shouted victory a little too early because it was Mansour Barnaoui who won the match, the title of champion, and the $1 million check at stake. A little humility does not hurt Mr. Asal. It is a match of size which was going to be played between the two Dutch-Surinamese fighters Melvin Manhoef and Remy Bonjasky in 2017, during the Final 16 of the World Fighting League. And when I talk about size, it is not only figuratively, you will understand why. It happened a bit the way Kwon Asal and Mansour Barnaoui had their altercation but in a much less aggressive way. Indeed, the two compatriots started their duel during the face-to-face that preceded their fight, in a most comical way. First Remy Bonjasky launched the hostilities by mocking the size of his opponent. Melvin Manhoef who, by the way, is 1.74 meters tall and therefore much smaller than Remy Bonjasky, in turn, attacked the latter, calling him taller and heavier. To top it all off, he then grabbed a chair and pulled himself up to face his opponent and made himself taller too, which provoked general hilarity in the room. Well, when I told you there was a big fight waiting for those two. Now let's leave the fighting aside and take a short break with the question of the day. In which country was the practice of MMA once banned before being authorized in 2020? Option A, France. Option B, South Korea. Option C, the United States. It's a very easy question. Nevertheless, think carefully and choose the option that seems correct to you. And if you want to know if your answer is right, stay with us until the end of this video. Your choice is made, let's go on. One could never forget the day when the American Mike Tyson faced the Pole Andrew Golota, and how the latter came down from the ring in the third round and went to the locker room, booed by the public. This happened on October 20, 2000, in Detroit. Despite his coach's attempts to convince him to stay in the ring, the Pole preferred to abandon the match rather than continue. Cowardly, Golota. For some, the Polish boxer lacked courage during this match against the invincible Mike Tyson. But it must also be said that during this fight, Golota had received a violent right hook from the American boxer. However, this did not prevent him from getting up and continuing the fight. Maybe he felt too bad or too weak to continue and preferred to let Tyson win and the money that goes with it. After all, health is priceless. Still, some will call this incident bizarre and even say it was one of the funniest moments that ever happened in the history of boxing. Certainly, it's a moment that will forever be etched in the annals of the sport. However, what many may not know is that after the match, Andrew Golota was hospitalized with a concussion. This then proves the suffering that the Polish boxer had to endure during this match. In the end, he did well to give up. During boxing or mixed martial arts matches, fighters can be subject to more or less serious injuries because of the blows they receive. However, it is not only players who can be injured during a match. Well, referees are not immune to the blows from the fighters either. That's right, sometimes they can even be seriously hit. For example, this happened to a referee during a Muay Thai fight, a martial art better known as Thai boxing. During this match, the Chinese Go De Kui knocked out his Thai opponent as well as the referee. Two birds with one stone, as they say. But how could this have happened to the poor man? Was he so distracted that he didn't see the Chinese kick coming? In any case, he probably would not have had time to spare his poor face. Well, who said that being a referee in a fight was not a dangerous job? Anyway, it is part of the hazards of the job, and this incident did not interrupt the match. While Go Da Kui's unfortunate and Thai opponent remained on the ground, both injured, another referee quickly climbed into the ring to officially proclaim the victory of the Chinese boxer. The winner enjoyed this moment of joy for a few moments before going to apologize to the referee. When a referee makes a mistake and raises the arm of the losing contestant by accident at the end of a match, well, it can leave a bad taste in the mouth of the winner. Fortunately, not everyone is outraged by this, and some may even laugh about it. It happened for example during a UFC Singapore fight between the Brazilian Vivian Pereira and the Chinese Yan Xiaonan. At the end of this match, the referee made the mistake of raising the hand of Pereira, who had lost to her opponent, before changing his mind and raising the hand of Xiaonan. Look at the disappointment on the Brazilian's face. One can easily understand the feeling of injustice she felt at that moment. But what to do? Well, it can happen to anyone to make a mistake, even the referees at the biggest competitions. So why go so far as to blame the poor referee? After all, erring is human, isn't it? In any sports discipline, being a referee requires great physical competence and a good number of qualities to lead a competition in the best possible conditions. Moreover, these professionals know the rules of the game at their fingertips. But in MMA matches, for example, some referees surpass others because not only are they competent, but they also know perfectly well the right gestures to adopt in order to prevent an unfortunate incident from occurring in the ring. Here is a good example of this. During a Thai boxing match that took place in February 2020 in Thailand, during Muay Hardcore, referee Sittachai Iniad showed great skill, but above all great humanity when he threw himself backward, together with boxer Neymar Paymanbury. Indeed, the latter had just been knocked out on a brutal elbow by his opponent, Sosovarathana. And as he fell, Sittachai Iniad took care to slide his arm under the head of the unconscious boxer. What an extraordinary reflex! Thanks to his remarkable intervention at the right time, Neymar's fall was cushioned, which prevented him from violently hitting his head on the ring and suffering serious injuries. As for the referee, he was praised for this beautiful gesture which made the buzz on the canvas. Hats off, Mr. Sittachai. And we end with another funny MMA moment. Lana Austin is a professional wrestler of British origin that we have had the opportunity to see at many WCPW matches. While the referee was doing the pre-combat search that must be done on the fighters before each match, Lana turned around and the referee, visibly embarrassed, walked away refusing to put his hands on her body. But it must be said that the 34-year-old wrestler, who has made her way little by little in the WCPW, is well known for her glamorous side and her daring and cheeky poses. Decidedly, MMA fights are full of funny moments. Today, you have just discovered some of them. Which ones made you laugh the most? Leave us your answers in the comments. And finally, here is the answer to the question of the day. France is the country where MMA was banned for a long time before being authorized in 2020. Have you chosen option A? Congratulations. I hope many of you found the right answer.